Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in to another segment of A Woman's Work. I am your host, aka Facilitator Tracia, and I want to thank each of you for joining in tonight. Please feel free to share my channel with family, friends, co-workers, colleagues, or neighbors, or whoever. Share it. Let's get this word out there. I am geared up and I'm excited for what God is doing in and through my life at this very moment. Although we're quarantined, there's still greatness in being quarantined. There's still good things to be done, or good things that have been done. God has graced us. He's sustained us. He's also been very provisional when it comes to my family. And I know many of you may be able to relate. If you just look back in hindsight and say, wow, before all of this, that, and the other was taking place. Now, since the quarantine is happening, we're confined to our homes pretty much. We have to be a little creative or tune in to God even more. Study His Word more time with family, more time with one another, and just begin to look at things from a different lens. Whereas before, we had no time to do any of the Lord's work. So there's some good in this. Being quarantined, there is some good in this. And many people ask the question, how will you come out of this? And I ask the same question, how will you come out of this? This time, God has prompted me to do these YouTube videos. And those who know me personally know that I am not into videos and doing anything of the such of any kind. I would rather just sit back and eat my popcorn and watch TV every day and perhaps go outside for a little bit. But that's not what God calls us to do. God calls us to do His work. And I want to just take a moment today to just talk, just have a casual conversation for women of faith. There come a time in our lives where we're so busy with work and being a spouse or being a mom, whether it's single parenting or being a sister, being a mother, being a daughter, whatever position you may be in at this very moment, there is some good to come out of being in this position. Keep in mind, God doesn't do anything by accident. If you take a look at what has been taking place over this last month, what could you say you have done, not only for yourself or your family in this last month? There are some positive things that have taken place. What have you done for God? What have you done for Him in this time? I know some of us still having to work. Many of us have to work. And some just have some downtime. Either way, we're in this quarantine state right now. And we have to find time to praise the Lord. We have to find time to uplift His word, and uplift others. We have to find the time to do what we said we didn't have the time to do before. And now God has granted us the time that we didn't have before. And how do we honor Him? Ask ourselves the question, how do we honor God with our time? How do we honor God with our talent? Let's not take this time to be selfish and look at it as a time to do everything that I needed to do in the house or needed to do for myself. Let's look at this time and take this time to say, Lord, what have I done for you lately? What have I done to honor you? What have I done to bring glory to your name? What have I, as a person, ask yourself, what have I done? And have I studied more? Had I gotten into your word more to know what you want of me? Had I relied on you? Wholeheartedly? Had I been able to reach out to you to know how to deal with other people? Or have I just had some quiet time in you? Have I done those things? Ask yourself that question. We can go and be busy with business all day long, for a long time, for many days, year in and year out, day in and day out, month in and month out. We take the time that we have and we always do what we want to do in that time. But do we have a desire to serve God? Do we have a desire to pay homage to Him? Do we have a desire to share Him with others? Because if you don't have the desire to, all of this is null and void. It doesn't matter. You can stop. The excuses is going away now that I don't have the time. Now you have nothing but time. And for all the years God has carried you, this is a perfect time to give Him all of your time. This is a perfect time to give Him all the praise and honor and glory. How often are we doing that in the South? We've had at least a month in quarantine. So how have we honored God in this? This is something to think about, ladies. God has done so much for us in this whole time, even before this whole time. God has done so much for us. Yet, when we have the time, which we have now, and even some have more time, how do we honor Him? We should be honoring Him every day in something that we're doing for Him. If it may be sharing Him with our family members, taking the time to pray more, or taking the time to begin to pray, establish a renewed relationship with Him, or begin a relationship with Him. But we have to ask ourselves, what have we done for Him? And we really have to get back to honoring God and looking for the things that He wants for us to do and being able to operate in our purpose. We should begin to do that. No question at all. We should begin to do that. Because women, I tell you, we are going to be needed so much coming out of this quarantine. We're going to be needed. We should be renewed, rejuvenated, and ready to go. God has work for us to do. God has work for all of His people to do. But for you as a woman of faith, what are you doing on your end? As far as it depends on you, what are you doing? How are you honoring God? And I know I've said that quite a bit, but really and truly, think about it. If we're not honoring God in our lifestyle, if we're not honoring God in our verbiage, in what we watch on TV or listen to on the radio, how are we honoring God in the lives of our children or our parents or our siblings? How are we honoring God? We could be that person that they turn to and look toward, and you may already be that person. So what are you feeding them in your lifestyle that's going to help them become stronger in God? We have to ask ourselves that question. I ask myself that all the time. And there are going to be days, don't get me wrong, there are going to be days where you don't feel like doing anything. And I used to say there's no time to slack, but and it's not any time to slack, but there is time for rest. And I understand that. Some days you just going to want to just sit back and just rest, rejuvenate, have your time in silence with God, but not being bothered with children, spouses, relatives, loved ones, neighbors, co-workers, anyone. That's solitude. There are times that we need to have a mindset to be just that way. And it's only to make ourselves better in the Lord so that we can serve His people properly or more or even at a greater capacity. We got to think about it. That's something to think about. It's something to think about. So my question for you, just having casual conversation. How are you honoring God? What are you doing for Him in this time of quarantine? You can ask that question to yourself and answer it as well. Thank you for your time. I wasn't going to keep you long. I just wanted to share those thoughts with you and ask that you would pray for me as I pray for you, so that we may get this thing done. We may come out stronger, come out greater in the Lord. So thank you for your time. God bless you. Have a good night.